What's up everyone, I'm Eldridge, and today we're going to look at the Tier 2 Premium American Cruiser USS Albany. The USS Albany was laid down at Newcastle upon Tyne in England by Armstrong Whitworth on 8th December of 1897. Originally it was built for the Brazilian Navy and was supposed to be commissioned as the Almirante Abreu, but even during construction it was bought by the US Navy to keep the Spanish Navy from having it during the Spanish-American War. The ship was renamed Albany and launched in February of 1899, and it was commissioned on the 29th of May 1900. Only a month after its commission, it was sent to the Philippines for the Philippine-American War, but didn't see any significant combat action. She was then sent to European waters. In 1904 she was decommissioned for 3 years, but re-entered service in the Pacific Fleet in 1907. I'm sure you'll agree, so far so boring. However, in September of 1909, Albany and the protected cruiser USS St. Louis, along with 3 torpedo boats, here we go, now something's happening, were anchored at Santa Monica Bay for dedication ceremonies of the Santa Monica Municipal Pier to coincide with California Admission Day? Oh come on, suck a bag of dicks, Albany. I really try to make these little history lessons interesting, but you're not making it easy. She remained in non-combat service till the United States joined World War I in April of 1917. Albany protected troop and supply convoys being shipped to Europe and back, and brought 11 such convoys safely across the Atlantic, but once again never saw any significant combat action. She was decommissioned in October of 1922, and sold for scrap on the 11th of February 1930. And now let's take a look at the stats. Being a Tier 2 cruiser, it obviously makes sense to compare the Albany to the Chester and the Chikuma. Hit point wise, both the Chester and the Chikuma easily beat out the Albany, both having roughly 2,000 hit points more, which is roughly 15%. Armor-wise, the Albany is very much on par with the Chikuma, having almost the same Citadel armor, and very much equal armor stats in all other categories. The Chester definitely loses out in armor. However, it should be noted that the Chikuma Citadel is pretty big compared to the Chester and the Albany, and is such a much easier target. The speed category is an open and shut case. Both the Chester and the Chikuma are very similar in their maneuverability, with the Chester losing out slightly on rudder shift, but having a slightly tighter turning circle. The Albany, however, is terrible in comparison. Having only 20 knots max speed makes it slower than any other ship it can meet, including Tier 1 and 3. And this abysmally low speed is the only reason for its tight turning circle. It takes the Albany almost double the time it takes the Chester and the Chikuma to shift its rudder. And this lack of speed and maneuverability is a big problem, as you will see later. Detectability wise, none of these ships really stick out. But one thing of note is that the Albany has a very limited sight radius, something that is not reflected in the stats, and I will have to show you in the clips. Now let's talk about the guns. The Chikuma has the upper hand in number of guns, being the only ship at Tier 2 to have 5 guns instead of 4. It also boasts the longest range and the highest HE damage. But because of the low rate of fire, its DPS sags significantly below the Chester's and Albany's DPS. The turret traverse on all 3 of these ships is very similar and rather negligible. The Chester comes with a pretty good range as well, but the Albany, with only 6.3 kilometers range, has the shortest range in the entire game. And that is why the speed and maneuverability of the Albany is such a big problem. Because not only are you significantly slower than everyone else, you're also the ship with the shortest range in every game you play. This short range really cripples the Albany and severely limits the choices that you can make in a game, making an aggressive playstyle practically unavoidable. But seeing how everyone else is just faster, they can always just run away from you and keep you out of gun range while they fire at you. In secondary gun batteries, the Albany comes with 4 120mm guns, 2 of which are mounted on each side, but they only have 2 kilometers firing range. Again, seeing how low the speed is, it is very difficult to get into this firing range, but when you do, these guns support quite a bit of damage. The Chester has 4 76.2mm guns with 2 mounted on each side, and 2 76mm guns with 1 mounted on each side, and both fire at 2.5 kilometer distance. The Chikuma has 4 76mm guns with 2 mounted on each side, and they engage at 3.5 kilometers range. None of these secondary armaments are exceptionally strong because of their very short engagement ranges. However, when the Albany does get that close to its enemies, she can out-DPS the opponents. The anti-aircraft batteries are laughable, but that's fine because you're in Tier 2 and you're not supposed to meet any aircraft carriers. In the category of survivability, the Chikuma slightly edges out the competition, and even though the Citadel is slightly bigger than it is on the Chester and the Albany, the overall armor profile and hit point pool do make up for it. In speed, both the Chester and the Chikuma score because their maneuverability is pretty equal, with a tiny slight edge going to the Chester. With how small the maps are at Tier 2, and how relatively short the engagement ranges are, none of these ships have a significant advantage in concealment. The category of guns is definitely won by the Chester because it has more DPS than the Chikuma and higher range than the Albany. The Albany, while it does have the same amount of DPS, 6.3 kilometers combined with its speed are absolutely unacceptable. The anti-aircraft is irrelevant and doesn't change the score. And the secondary batteries of these ships are either too short-ranged or too insignificant in DPS. Which leaves us at a final score of 0 for the Albany, 2 for the Chester and 2 for the Chikuma. And if my opinion counted for anything in this section of the video, the Albany would boast a negative score. And now let's see what some of these stats look like in-game. Now this is a very common sight when playing the Albany. There's shots flying from your team to the opposing team, and from the opposing team to your team. There's even torpedoes in the water, but nowhere is a ship to be seen. I mean, clearly, if you look at the minimap, you can see there are ships, right? The entire map is populated with ships, but you only see the outline of the symbol, not the entire symbol. What does that mean? That means they are outside of your view radius. What is the view radius, you ask? Well, that's the interesting thing. In most ships, you really don't care, because your view radius is mostly like 15 to 20 kilometers long. However, in this ship, the view radius is 8.3 kilometers. As you can see, my buddy in front of me just spotted this destroyer, and he also spotted a cruiser that opened fire at him. I can't see that cruiser. I can see the destroyer because he's within 7 kilometers. I'm obviously still not in gun range of this destroyer, so I'm just sitting here and waiting for stuff to happen. And now this destroyer turns around. I still can't see the cruiser, by the way, who at this point is probably 8.5 kilometers away or something like that. And the destroyer turns around. And did you see what just happened? Let's see that again. You see, the destroyer turns around and drives away from us. And now he's 8.1, 8.2, and whoop, he's gone. Like he just activated his cloaking device. And clearly, he's still spotted because, you know, his little icon is still to be seen on the map. And the guy in front of me was still shooting him. It's a game I played with my buddies Calzifar and Timber. Calzifar is in a destroyer. And right now, he pops a smoke screen. I'm going to be inside that smoke screen, which means it's going to reduce my visibility by about half. And it's also going to decrease my vision range by about half. This Chikuma in front of me just popped out of sight, because he isn't shooting, and so he has his full detection range. Since my view range, which means his detection range is only like 4 kilometers or whatever, because I'm in the smoke. And so that's why he keeps popping in and out. But now, I'm definitely within even his shortened detection range. So why don't I see him? Well, because my vision range is also reduced, and now he's outside of my vision range. And I'm still in the smoke, and I can't see him. This guy is right there in front of me. He's even firing his guns at me, and I still can't see him. My 2 teammates can see him, and there he briefly pops up behind the island, and then is out of line of sight. But the entire time he was visible for my teammates. I mean, seriously, just look at this. It's like the ship is crewed by the fucking mole people or something. How is this a real thing? I don't understand. At this point, I usually show you guys facts and show you how it works in the game and show you clips and blah and examples of what the stats do, and then I show you a replay, but I just cannot stopping it with this ship. You want to hear my opinion? How about I just give you some of the clips of me talking about this ship while I was playing it with my mates. It's so bad. What a sad hunk of fucking metal. Man, this ship is terrible. It's just, so painful. I have to show people how terrible the ship is. But yeah, this is awful. I can't recommend this to anyone. This is just, ugh. This thing is just a waste of 500 gold. This thing doesn't give you anything. This thing just gives you a hernia. Yep, everyone can shoot me, and I can't shoot back. That's it. Yep. You go right ahead, guys. Oh my god, I have the chance to get a kill. Ha! I got the kill! Yes! Ha ha! Albany all the way. Best ship EU. Best ship tier 2. Best ship for me. Best ship for you. If you think this ship looks hilariously stupid or something, then fine, go ahead. I mean, 500 gold isn't that much. But if you're looking for an actual premium ship, something that you can farm credits or free experience with, this is not it. You'd be better off spending 500 gold on credits and then using those credits to buy Samsons and sell Samsons until all of those credits are gone. That'd be a much better use of your time and money. If you enjoyed this review, please consider liking and subscribing. And if there's any other ships you think I should review, or if you have any other suggestions or feedback, please leave it in the comments. The next review is going to be for the Kitakami. But until then, I've been Eldritch, Master Donkey, and I'll see you in another video.